Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Champions Learn and Grow. So today we will learn about crop production and management, which is chapter 1 of your class 8, and this is the part 3 of the chapter. The link of the first and the second part have been given in the description box. So students, till now we have learned about the irrigation, right, which is the fourth step of the crop cultivation activities. Now the next step is the weeding. So what happens in weeding? Now we have to protect our crops from the weeds. Now what are weeds? In fields there are many undesirable plants which generally grow along the crop. These are known as weeds. The removal of unwanted and uncultivated plants is known as weeding. So these are very harmful for the crops, as weeds compete with the crop for water, nutrients, space and light. They affect the growth of the crop. So some weeds also interfere in harvesting crops also, and they may be poisonous for animals and humans. So for these reasons we have to carry out the weeding process. We have to remove the weeds, right, in order to protect our crop. So what are the methods of weeding? There are mechanical methods of weeding. In this, what we do is, first method is the tilling. Tilling before sowing of the crops helps in uprooting and killing of the weeds, right? So this is one of the method of weeding, right? Second is the manual method. It includes the physical removal of the weeds by uprooting or cutting them close to the ground. So we can uproot them, right, and cut them, right, with the help of a khurpi. It is the manual method. And the third method is the mulching. In this, what happens is, this material is generally covered over the soil so that the weeds do not get any sunlight, right, or air. So in order to protect plants from the weeds, this mulching is done. A protective layering is spread on the surface of the soil. And the third method is seed drill, which is also used to uproot the weeds. Apart from these mechanical methods, other methods are weeding by the chemical methods. Now what are the chemical methods? In this, various chemicals known as weedicides like 2,4-D are generally used for controlling the weeds. They are basically sprayed in the fields to kill the weeds. They do not damage the crops. Remember, they do not damage the crops. They are generally diluted with water and then they are sprayed. You can see in the picture, the farmer is generally spraying weedicide with the help of a sprayer. They are generally sprayed during the vegetative growth of the weeds, before the flowering and seed formation, right? During this time we should spray the weedicides, right? So these were the methods of doing weeding. Now what is after weeding is done, our crops is generally ready after 3 to 4 months. It generally take 3 to 4 months of the crop to grow, right? After weeding, what is done is harvesting is done. This is the next activity, right? So what is harvesting? The cutting of the crop after it gets mature is known as harvesting. In harvesting, the crops are pulled out close to the ground, right? So how it is done? It is done manually, either by sickle or by a machine called as harvester. In the harvested crops, the grain needs to be separated from the chaff. Chaff is mainly the husk or the outer covering, right? And this process is known as threshing. Remember, in this, what is threshing? The grains need to be separated from the chaff. This process is known as threshing. This is carried out with the help of a machine called as combine or harvester. So you can see in the picture, this is the manual harvesting which is done by sickle, right? And these are the combines machines which are generally used to harvest our crops, right? By this way we can harvest our crops. And there is another process which is known as winnowing. The farmers with small holdings of lands, they do separation of grain and the chaff by winnowing. You can see in the picture, the woman is doing winnowing. What is winnowing? It is a method in which heavier components of the mixture are separated from the lighter ones with the help of a wind. So this is the husk, the outer covering of the grains. These are the rice. So by this method, so winnowing is separation is done, right? Apart from this physical method, you can say, or manual method, there are also winnowing machines are there, which is used for separating the chaff from the grain, right? So these were the harvesting methods. Now the last and the most important step is the storage. Now we have learned how we can grow the crops, we can harvest the crops, right? But what about their storage, right? How we can store them? The storage is very important, right? After the threshing and you can winnowing, right, of the grains, what happens is proper storage of the grains is necessary. Why? In order to protect them from the pests and the microorganisms. The fresh crop has more moisture, remember, so the grains are generally properly dried in the sun to reduce the moisture before storing. So before storing we have to sun dry our grains in order to remove the moisture, as moisture attracts most of the pests and bacteria, right? So after drying, what they do is they store the grains in large jute bags or the metallic bags. You can see these are jute bags. So, and also the large scale storage is done in granaries and silos to protect them from the pests like rats and insects. So after the harvesting of the crops, there is necessary for the storage. So if there is no proper storage, our grains will get damaged, right students? So with this we finish all this chapter, right? So hope students you understood this chapter. So thank you so much. Please like, share and subscribe my channel.